Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today I thought I'd talk a little bit about how to work out, the importance of it, as well as the importance of a balanced diet, as well as I guess how to follow and track your diet as well. And lastly, finishing off with my own tips from my own personal experiences on my fitness journey, as some call it. But before we do continue, if you like this video, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. If you don't, please leave some constructive criticism because I am looking to improve any way I can. So starting out, what is the importance of working out? Why should you work out? Now, I'm sure most people know the physical benefits of working out. You know, these are kind of ingrained into us by everyone and everything. You know, you get stronger, you get fitter, leaner, quicker, everything. You know, like Kanye West said, harder, faster, better, stronger. You know, actually that was Daft Punk. But that's what it is. You know, we're kind of encouraged to do it because we physically improve. And this is true. The physical benefits of working out cannot be understated because they are undeniable. You know, you see it all around you. You see the bodybuilders on stage in Mr. Olympia. You see the strongmen. You see people coming out of gyms looking like Greek gods and goddesses, right? And that is true. That's part of the story. But that's not just it. The reason why the physical benefits are so important and so beneficial to you as an individual is more so how it affects your quality of life. So, you know, getting strong, fit, mobile, agile, it's all well and good. But how this translates into your day-to-day is more along the lines of doing things like getting in and out of bed, getting in and out of the car, getting up and down a flight of stairs, being able to carry your groceries more than one bag at a time. These practical uses in your daily life are the things that you're going to see the most change in. The things that you do most often that, you know, if you are stronger, leaner, quicker, whatever it is, you're going to experience less difficulty in doing this. And there are plenty other benefits as well, physically speaking. You know, chronic pain issues like, you know, everyone has the sore back, everyone's got a sore knee in the morning, that sort of thing. Those things improve as well. And there's plenty of studies out there that also indicate the same thing. But besides the physical realm, besides the physical side of things, the other main area that exercise is going to benefit you is your mental health. Similarly, there are plenty of studies out there, and I'll link one in the comments below so you can have a quick read, that demonstrate regular exercise, regular aerobic exercise, resistance training does moderately to significantly improve individuals' mental health, you know, their stress levels, anxiety and depression. And as well, as good as it is from a physical perspective, improving your mental health is also just as important. You know, they say healthy body, healthy mind, which exercise does help you achieve. But on the flip side of that, healthy mind, healthy body. You know, if you're in a better mental state, you're going to be more motivated, more inclined to work out, more inclined to look after yourself. Therefore, doing more exercise and working out, and therefore benefiting your mental health again. So it's a win-win-win, right? But yeah, enough of the reason why. I'm sure, you know, you didn't come here mainly for that. Now, how to actually work out. What do you do? It can be quite daunting to start working out. No one is a professional from the start. We're all beginners at some stage. So in terms of working out, I'll talk about two main areas in particular. But first of all, resistance training in the form of lifting weights. So probably what most of you think about when you think about lifting or working out. Going to the gym, lifting some weights. That's the main thing, right? So to start working out, you need to follow some sort of structure, some sort of plan, okay? And as a beginner, if you're someone who's just starting out, if you're someone who doesn't necessarily have that much experience in going to the gym and lifting weights, it doesn't have to be too complicated. It never has to be too complicated. You know, start basic and refine yourself. So for anyone who's watching, who's a beginner, who's wanting to start working out, two specific workout routines or structures I would recommend. The first being the bro split, or what we call the bro split. Essentially, that means training each muscle group of your body at least once per week. So, you know, you got your shoulders, you got your traps, you got your back, you got your chest, your abs, your legs, right? So all components, all parts of your body, at least once a week. And this can be a little bit time consuming because, you know, you've got so many different parts to train. How do you fit it into 7 days? If you're someone who's just starting, 5 days of workout per week might feel a little bit daunting, might be a bit much. In which case, you can kind of condense those days down. And I'll link down below a template structure that I've kind of created that gives you a guide on essentially what to do on what days, what kind of exercises you can do, how many sets, etc. And again, this is just a template. It's not a hard and fast rule, okay? You can plug and play. You can put exercises that you prefer. You can put exercises that you want to get better at. It's up to you how you choose to do it. This is more of a guide, okay? So that's one way to do it. The other way, and potentially a way that might be easier for someone who's really new, is push-pull legs, but instead of doing it twice a week, only doing it once per week. So what I mean by this is one day you'll do the pushing muscles. So, you got your bench press, your chest, pushing motions. You're pushing the weight away from your body. You've got your shoulder motions, you're pushing the weight away from your body, and same with your legs, your quads, your calves. Any movement that involves pushing yourself away from the weight or the weight away from you, that's a pushing movement. So one day you'll do those parts of the workout, those parts of your body. The next day, you can do pull components, so your biceps, your back, your hamstrings, your core. So any movement where you're kind of bringing things in closer, you're bringing the weight towards yourself or you're bringing yourself towards the weight. Okay, so pull-ups, for example. These are all pulling exercises. And last day, you've got legs. So, I did mention the push-pull legs, the leg component in the push and pull section out of habit, but the leg section is purely legs. Your quads, your hammies, and your calves, right? It's quite basic. You do your squats, your hamstring curls, your leg extensions, your calf raises, that sort of stuff. And you only have to do that 3 times per week, right, as a beginner. So you can do push, rest day, pull, rest day, legs, rest day. And that's quite achievable. 3 days a week out of a 7-day week, that's less than half. So that's a good starting point. And if you did want to advance beyond that, you could easily double that. So push, pull, legs, rest, push, pull, legs, rest. And suddenly you're working out 6 days a week. And that's quite a lot of stimulation. It's going to be quite a lot of growth. So those are the 2 main structures or main routines I would recommend for someone starting out. And again, I'll link doc down below in the comment section or in the description section of this video that kind of outlines that in a general sense. Now, the other style of working out that I would highly recommend for anyone who is very new, for anyone who doesn't necessarily have as much time, doesn't have the resources to go to the gym, doesn't have their own home gym, is calisthenics. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking someone who twirls around ribbons and does cartwheels. And that's not what I mean. I mean calisthenics in the sense of body weight movements. You've probably seen dudes at the park doing pull-ups, push-ups, all that, very cool looking exercises. And that's calisthenics. Sure, that might be complicated, the things you're seeing out there, but it can be brought down to a very beginner-friendly level, very basic level. So, for example, you've got your push-up, your squat, your pull-up. The 3 core, right? The same as in the gym. Your bench press, your squat, and your deadlifts, right? So these kind of target all muscles in your body, essentially. With calisthenics, you've got similar movements, but instead of moving weight, the main difference is that you're moving your body, yourself, through space. So you don't have external weights or forces being put onto you in the form of added weights. Rather, the difficulty in calisthenics comes from the mechanical advantage or disadvantage of the movement. So for example, if you're doing a standard push-ups where your body is kind of horizontal with the ground and you're going up and down, that's pretty standard. Let's start with that. To make it easier, you can put your knees on the ground, which you've probably seen some people do. And that makes the movement easier as well, because suddenly you're not having to move as much weight from the point of your knees. Whereas if you were moving from your toes, there's more weight being pushed, right? So by changing the mechanical advantage or disadvantage of the movement, you're putting more force onto the muscles that you're using. And again, calisthenics can be altered to a very beginner-friendly level where you can literally start by pushing yourself against a wall, in the example of the chest, to being able to do incline push-ups or decline push-ups where your legs are elevated, who knows how high, and you're still doing those push-ups. Or even planche push-ups being the most advanced level of type of push-up where your legs are literally off the ground. That's achievable. That is a possibility. It is a very advanced skill, but it is possible. The biggest difference that I would say, the other biggest difference between lifting weights and doing calisthenics is that the skill ceiling for calisthenics from my own experience, tends to be a bit higher than lifting weights. With lifting weights, the form and the structure of the movements that you're doing, they're quite straightforward, they're quite basic. The difficulty comes in putting more weight. And that's as simple as changing numbers, putting an extra plate. With calisthenics, you make minute differences to your form continuously to make the exercise harder. And some movements require insane amount of mobility, insane amount of strength, stability to even execute. You know, things like muscle ups, things like the iron cross when you're doing ring workouts, for example. These can be very difficult. But not to complicate things, you can do either calisthenics or you can do weightlifting in the traditional sense. In terms of calisthenics resources, one such resource that I started with when I started doing calisthenics types workouts was the recommended routine. And I'll put a link down below to this as well. But essentially this kind of, you know, breaks down working out to the same concepts in terms of, you know, all your muscle groups, but focuses on different skill work in terms of, you know, your pushing, your pulling, similar concepts. But brings it down to a very basic level. It's not as high volume. It focuses more on the skill and the movements. So that's one. And I'll link down below as well an Excel spreadsheet that I found a while ago, which kind of links or shows all the base movements for any type of push, pull, you know, for example, vertical pulls, horizontal pulls, that sort of stuff. And it gives you the most basic exercise at the bottom, and it shows you a list of exercises that you can do to progress to the next level. So if you wanted to do calisthenics, not sure where to start at the bottom, and you can slowly work your way up. And when you do these sorts of routines, again, you can do it in a similar fashion to how you would do a traditional weightlifting routine, in that, you know, one day you train a certain muscle group, or you do push-pull legs in that fashion as well. There's no necessarily right and wrong, it's what works for you. But that being said, as a beginner, you are more likely to progress just by doing exercise in general. You know, there are studies that show that people who do 20 to 30 minutes of regular resistance training at least 3 times a week demonstrate significant improvements in their strength, in their mobility, in their overall physical health. All right? And that's not much. 30 minutes, 3 days a week, 90 minutes a week, that's nothing. It's achievable. You just gotta do it, essentially.
Good old chicken. You know. Same old, same old.
Now that we've got them working out of the way, let's address the elephant in the room. Most of us who are watching this video have probably seen how to work out, have probably tried working out in the past. But many of us struggle with dieting, whether that's gaining weight, losing weight, or maintaining weight. And it is the hardest component of working out. You know, working out, once you've figured it out, once you've gone to the gym a few times, once you've done a movement for a few times, you understand it, it's easy enough. But dieting is a constant thing. You eat every single day. You're eating every couple of hours. How do you balance this? How do you make sure that over a week, over a month, over a year, you're achieving your goals in terms of your weight and your physical goals, how you want to look, for example? There are plenty of diets out there. You probably heard a lot of them. You know, keto is one of the big ones around nowadays. You've got paleo diet, you've got keto diet, you've got if it fits your macros. You've got a lot of different diets. You've got dirty bulk, clean bulk, whatever it is. The one I want to talk about today is if it fits your macros. And the reason why I want to talk about this one is because it's one that I've used for quite a long time. When I first started working out, about 8-9 years ago, however long it's been now, if it fits your macros was what I started with. Now for me, I wasn't necessarily overweight or underweight. I was kind of an average body, right? Middleweight, whatever you want to call it. But if it fit your macros allowed me to first bulk appropriately and then cut down appropriately as well, while making sure that I was receiving the appropriate amount of macronutrients. And macronutrients being, you know, the big 3, the proteins, the fats, and the carbohydrates. So working out is important, but dieting is especially important. To put it into a very clear example, imagine you have a sports car, okay? If you put a lack of fuel in that car, so if you don't eat enough, that car is not going to reach its destination. Suddenly this awesome car, this strong engine, is not so useful. It's not going to get where it needs to go, and a car that's significantly less luxurious and strong as this car is going to reach its destination with the right fuel. On the other end of that spectrum, you give this car too much fuel, or you give this car some very low grade fuel, over a certain period of time, that car's going to start breaking down. It's not going to go as quick. It's going to start stalling. The engine might, give out. This car won't last as long as it should, essentially. So in a sense, you want to find the right amount of fuel, the right level of fuel to get where you need to go to ensure that your car, in this case your body, is going to keep doing what it's designed to do, to keep moving, to keep you alive, right? So the diet is very much the fuel for your body. Now, in terms of if it fits your macros, it's quite simple. If you're not a numbers person, it might be a little bit difficult to start in the beginning, but it gets very easy. It's basic maths. You got division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Your BODMAS, essentially. So I'll put a link again in the description of this video to a site that allows you to calculate your macros. It's a if it fits your macros calculator. For the purpose of this video, I'll say IFIAM for the rest of the video instead of saying if it fits your macros, just to make it easier for me. But yeah, go to this site or any other site that kind of calculates your macros, put in your height, your weight, and all those other details that I asked for, and it'll give you a rough estimate of what you should be aiming for in terms of daily caloric intake, protein, fat, and carbohydrate intake as well. And admittedly, the website that I'll put in the description does seem a bit clickbaity. So at the end, when it asks you to subscribe and receive your results, click yes, get your results in email, and then unsubscribe to it unless you want to stay subscribed, but that's up to you. So once you've got these numbers, essentially the next question is, all right, I've got these numbers, but what does it mean? How do I actually keep track of my daily macros? That part is where the work comes into play. So you've got your numbers now. Let's say, for example, your daily intake, or mine, for example, is roughly 2,300. I've got around 200 grams of protein, 220 grams of carbs, and like 60 grams of fat, something along those lines. Essentially, this is my limit for the day. This is my allowance. So if we thought about it in currency, I have that many dollars, and I can only use that currency to buy whatever I need to buy in the day, or in this case, eat in the day. The way to kind of start understanding your foods, start understanding how many calories, proteins, and etc. in what you're eating, it's obviously very good to research. Look it up on Google. Google in how much calories in a chocolate bar. It will come up. How many carbs, how many this and that. It all comes up. It's all in the nutritional label. And no one's going to carry around a pen and a paper and track their daily calories. An app that I used for a very long time until it became very automatic in my mind was MyFitnessPal. In this app, you can kind of search up commonly consumed foods, consumed foods, and it will give you the nutritional value. And then you can kind of just add it to your daily diary, and it'll keep track of it for you. And you can kind of visually see how much of each macronutrient you're eating, how much calories you're taking in over a period of a day, a week, etc. It'll help you keep track of it very well. Another positive of this app as well is you can scan barcodes of ready-made foods and products in stores, and it kind of automatically puts it down. It's been a long time since I've used the app, so I'm sure since I've used it, there's probably been a lot of updates, there's probably been a lot of advancements to its categories in terms of its database as well. So I'm sure it won't lead you astray. So give it a try, see how you go. If it doesn't work for you, try to do it manually. Again, at the end of the day, it's what works for you and what's convenient for you. In terms of dieting, again, it's difficult to maintain a diet. As with any routine, it takes a while to get used to a diet and to adhere to it in the long term. So this is a note for both working out and dieting. If at first you don't succeed, try again. So for working out, for example, if you miss a day, don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. Don't skip your whole week just because you miss a day. Just do it the next day and continue where you left off. Same thing with a diet. If you accidentally eat a chocolate bar too much, or you accidentally go over your macros or you go under your macros, that's okay. Balance it out the next day. Balance it out throughout the week. Make it work. Life is about balance, and so is working out and dieting. It's not supposed to be a difficult process. It's not supposed to be something that we dread doing, that we fear doing. You have to make it enjoyable, you have to make it realistic, and you've just got to kind of do it. Get about it. Get on that grind, so to speak. That grind set. So that's essentially one of the most, or at least for me, most basic ways of keeping track of your daily food intake, your macronutrients, your calorie intake, all that sort of stuff. Now, finally, in terms of some tips from my own personal experiences. So again, start basic and have faith in the grind. Essentially, if something doesn't make sense to you, try and find out. If it's too complex and you're going down a rabbit hole, try something simpler. Once you've understood that, once you've mastered that, move on. If you don't understand something and it's too difficult, you're going to be less motivated and inclined to do that thing. So make sure you understand what you're doing, you're having fun with what you're doing. The next part is that setbacks and injury are inevitable, right? But it's kind of like riding a bike. When you're a kid, you ride a bike with training wheels. You take one of the training wheels off, you have a fall. You don't stop riding that bike, you try again. Then you put the training wheel back on one time, take it off, ride again. Suddenly you can ride with one training wheel. And eventually you take the second one off. But then again, you fall another 10 times. And suddenly you've got scrapes in your knee, you've got a hurt shoulder, you've banged your head on the floor. And things don't feel too good. But you don't stop. You try again. You know, you reflect, what happened, what can I do next time? You try again. And eventually you can ride that bike. Eventually you're in marathons, you're racing in marathons as an adult, right? This path isn't easy, but it's assured. If you keep following that path, you'll get to your destination. So again, setbacks are inevitable and they're normal in this process. The next thing that I've kind of already mentioned throughout this video is do your research. Especially when it comes to form videos in terms of working out, especially when it comes to dieting in terms of what you're eating, how much you're eating. Do your research. Knowledge is your best friend. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're doing your form incorrectly, the chance of you getting injured, the chance of you getting hurt, the chance of you quitting, stopping goes up exponentially. If you do an incorrect deadlift, for example, you rounded your back significantly, you're going to pop your back. There's no stopping. No belt's going to stop that. You need to make sure that you're doing it the right way. The ways at which I did this, when I first started working out, literally for the first year or two, I would carry my phone. I'd be one of those guys you see on the videos, carrying my phone between every set and just watching form videos. Like, how do I do tricep push downs? How do I do bench press? How do I do squat? And watching every single video from multiple different sources until I felt like I understood, until I felt like it was feeling better, it felt good. And then even then, I'd ask people in the gym who kind of looked like they knew what they were doing if I was doing things correct. Or at least ask people you're familiar with, your friends for example, and get some guidance. Do your research. Knowledge is stronger than your muscles, right? The next part kind of links back to failure being inevitable, is that when things get stale or you stop progressing, change things up. Entertain yourself. Find a variety. Change your training style. If you're weightlifting, do some calisthenics. Change the exercise you're doing. Change the sets. Change the weights. Try and change it up. The body and the mind both get very used to whatever you're doing. They adapt very quickly. And when they adapt and things become normal, you're not as entertained, you're not as stimulated, things become boring, you stop doing it. So change it up, keep yourself excited, keep it interesting. And on that note, the last point is have fun with it. You know, as much as we all want to stay healthy, fit, live a long life, be strong, whatever your goal is, have fun with what you're doing. If you're not having fun, if you're having a bad time, you're feeling bad about what you're doing, you're not going to continue. It's not going to be sustainable. It's going to take you more effort and energy to actually get to the gym, to get to your workout, to follow your diet, than it is to not have done it at all, right? So have fun with it, do things that you enjoy. Obviously, you've got to challenge yourself in the context of working out, but do things that you enjoy to some degree at least. Again, that way, you're more inclined to follow through with your plans. And just on a closing note, again, I know it can be very daunting to start working out, especially at a gym, because you're scared or you're anxious about how others are going to view you, especially if you're very skinny or you're on the bigger side. You might be self-conscious. You might be worried about people looking at you doing your form wrong. But again, who cares? I know you care, and that's legitimate. It's a legitimate feeling, but you have to overcome it. And whatever it takes for you to overcome that, whether it's going with a friend, whether it's going at a less busy time of the gym, early in the morning, late at night, whatever it is, try and find something that works for you and do it that way, okay? And I guarantee you, anyone who's judging you in the gym is potentially, or not potentially, they definitely are doing it because of their own insecurities. Even if the person is the biggest person in the gym, they're probably insecure about how they look, which is why they're kind of projecting that onto you. So don't be so worried. Everyone in the gym was a beginner at some time. And I guarantee you that if you feel like you're doing something wrong in terms of form, for example, and you approach someone in the gym, with a friendly manner, smile, and ask for some help, I guarantee you 99% of people are going to be willing to show you what to do. Most people who go to the gym like to be confident, like to look like they know what they're doing. So I'm sure they're going to give you some advice. So those are the tips. So to close up, to finalize, if this video has helped you in any way, please let me know in the comments below. Leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know if it's helped you at all. If you do any of these things that I mentioned, let me know your experiences. I want to know if the things that I know, or the things that I've experienced in my life, are common, or if you have different ideas. Let's share some of this knowledge. In my next video, I'll be happy to go into more detail into specific workouts, specific diets, how to train certain muscle groups, certain exercises, anything of the like, as long as you let me know that you want me to make those videos. Otherwise, I'll make videos as I feel like it and in terms of what interests me. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay strong. I'll catch you guys next time.
More energy. More energy. More energy. More energy. More energy.